Right. Should be good, I think. Yep. Right. So, Freedom Cry DLC. This one takes place in 1735 and focuses on Adivale, the quartermaster of Edward on the Jackdaw for most of the game of Black Flag. And this is him after he has joined the Assassins already for a few years. And he's actively working on liberating slaves and maroons all across the Caribbean. But he gets involved in a few things in this DLC, which I don't want to talk too much about it yet, because I don't want to spoil anybody who may hasn't seen the DLC yet. But yeah, it's really good and I quite like it. Which is surprising, because it's also mainly developed by Ubisoft Quebec, I think. Similar to how they did it with the Tyranny of King Washington DLC. They took care of the Freedom Cry DLC, I believe. It even had some of the writers. So it makes it even more surprising that I actually legitimately enjoy some of writing in this DLC. But yeah, let's go ahead and access this here. And then I'm going to delete the NoHUT save, I believe. There we go. Let's start a new game.
The parcel is with the Templar Admiral on the lead ship, Captain. Once he gives the orders...
Okay, so just want to look which part is actually new here in the database entry for Adivale. Most of it we have already read, but this last part we haven't, so that's what we're gonna have a look at here. But this and Syndicate are the best works. I would agree. Yeah, 100%. Syndicate is definitely my favorite Quebec experience, followed by Freedom Cry, and then, I guess, Odyssey, and then Tyranny of King Washington. Like, I actually think that Odyssey is better than Tyranny. And that's saying something. For over 15 years, Adivale faithfully served the Assassins, but in time he became increasingly troubled by memories of his past. In 1735, while performing a routine takedown of a Templar admiral off the coast of Saint-Domingue, he was thrown overboard and washed ashore near Port-au-Prince. It's kind of funny they already talk about him being stranded, because that has still... like, that's still to happen. Ronnie, you think you're going to take off? You still haven't played Freedom Cry for some reason, but you want to. No worries at all, Ronnie. Definitely understandable that you would like to stay spoiler-free, in case you want to play it yourself. But definitely take care, dude, and yeah, I hope you have a great day as well, Ronnie. You would agree, Rod? Yeah. Yeah. And thanks our shout out to Ronnie as well. For anybody who wants to check out his stream, he's currently playing some Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a game he really loved since last year when he first started playing it. He also recently finished his playthrough of AC Unity, so he's also playing those games as well. And he's also into first-person shooters like Titanfall and Team Fortress, so you can also catch those games sometimes as well. But yeah, no worries for the shout out, Ronnie, and thank you. I definitely will.
Lost.
The parcel itself is less interesting than its intended recipient. Let's eliminate this errand boy, Admiral, and unmask the true Templar threat. When I became an assassin, I swore to leave piracy behind. But the old methods have served the creed more than once.
Everything is permitted after all, Captain.
Aye, and often it is necessary.
Yeah, just to make sure we don't miss any dialogue here.
Loose man's sails!
But I think that's it.
Fire!
That's their weak spot. Take the shot. Ready to bark, Captain.
Fire!
No pirate knows when to run. Ready to burn!
Fire!
Stay out of range of it.
Fire! All sails! She'll take it!
Right there.
Fire!
Here it goes.
Fire!
Keep on behind.
Fire!
Hammer us that time. Let's hit us. Ah!
Quite a bit of meta there. I think I wanna loot that. I was not gonna be a completionist run of this DLC, at least it's not planned in such a way. But again, similar to Black Flag, anything of story relevance you will be doing. So definitely look at all the locations and have a look at all the places and stuff, do all the viewpoints. I'm gonna do all the optional objectives as well. I can't target the captain. There we go.
Just keep your eyes and be ready for anything. Stay below, sir. Ne le perdez pas de vue.
Got him. Fair for the old smoke bomb tactic. They never learn.
Bastien Joseph, Port-au-Prince. What business do Templars have there?
Captain! More French vessels at our tail!
Too many! We'll retreat through the storm!
We will be smashed ashore!
A worse fate awaits if we let this land in Templar hands!
Aye, Captain!
Enemy fire!
Captain! There's no hope!
Rescue yourselves! I must stay with the ship!
No, I will stay with you! They're closing in! They draw ever closer!
Starboard, Captain! Water spout, sir!
They are gaining on us!
But Konakawa smoke bomb combo, great method. Indeed, dude. Love using it. It's quite a storm here.
The mortar! We're clear! Users brought the weather there!
It's kind of interesting they use like classical string instruments, like very orchestral, for Freedom Cry soundtrack at times. Could say it's also maybe influence of Quebec there, because they went for something similar in Syndicate, right? Very kind of like orchestral kind of soundtrack.
All in the stunsails! Crowd it all on! Loose stunsails! Gallant!
Oh, it happened. But yeah, also the package doesn't go into Templar hands. But Adivale is definitely adrift now.
Yeah, allez, mon les miso, batalai.
Sale truie!
Non!
Ça te coûtera une oreille!
Bah, John.
Look at that, random machete. You love to see it.
Templar can wait. This woman must not suffer.
Arrête de courir, salope, ou je te tronche les deux oreilles!
Bien ton compagnie aux asticots.
Merci, bon Dieu. Désolé. I have nothing to offer but thanks.
Nothing else is needed. As a boy, I fled the same fate.
Why would you risk recapture?
Men of principle know the bigger risk is to turn away. I'm looking for Bastian Joseph. Do you know her?
Moi-même, pas qu'on elle. But any fine gentleman may lead you to her. Too late for this one. Find another in town.
The thanks is now mine. Do you have a place of refuge?
My family waits in the mountains. Demon, Gemon.
Que Dieu soit avec vous.
Liberate the slaves 1. So there's kind of like a detail, kind of like a progress system with both the slaves and the maroons. The more you slave, the more you, Jesus, the more you free of the slaves, the more advantages you're gonna get for both Adivali, but also for the ship that Adivali has, the Experto Crede. Eva Fua, good morning to you. But you wonder if I will get the freaky jaw glitch this time. Yeah, it didn't happen this time, but I remember last time it happening for me. Or you never got around finishing this DLC. Yeah, that's fair. Did you not enjoy it as much, or did you just kind of like forget about it or something? If you're feeling good, it's Friday at least here, and just gotta get through the workday, then the weekend. Indeed. I hope you have a good start of the weekend once it happens for 18. And a good last workday as well. But sometimes it happens, but sometimes it doesn't. Ah, okay. I guess same here then. I wonder what actually triggers it, like, what causes it to happen. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Ah, interesting. We got also a class tab here for the people. I'm gonna read that. Maroons. Maroons were people from the West Indies, Central America, South America, and North America that escaped slavery and formed and settled communities away from their oppressors. Although the African slaves were not the first to be treated so badly. The Taino tribes that first inhabited Saint-Domingue were abused and bullied into submission by the Spanish. Refusing to work for them, the Taino people were the first to settle in the mountains, and later made room for the fugitive slaves. Most of the slaves of Saint-Domingue fled to the mountains to hide from their oppressors and start new lives, often based on subsistence agriculture and survivor hunting. Some became warriors and fought for independence and the freedom of other slaves. Maroons were known to raise crops, attempt to scare off plantation owners and overseers, loot and conduct violent raids on nearby sugar and coffee plantations. But although these bands of Maroons warriors grew in size, they, more often than not, lacked the leadership to carry through a large-scale objective. Not surprisingly, the Code Noirs still sided with masters. They were given a great deal of liberty in their retaliation methods. Plantation slaves were killed in an attempt to keep the Maroons at bay. Many of the attackers were slaughtered, and the death penalty was given out as a common form of punishment. Maroons in Saint-Domingue were ultimately responsible for one of the few successful slave uprisings in history, and the only one to result in the founding of a free state, the Republic of Haiti, after a century of effort and more than one attempt. Note: Maroons are not to be confused with other black populations in Saint-Domingue at the time. Freedmen, slaves who were freed legally through emancipation or manumission. And against the Coyeux, people of color who were born free or freed at birth. DM. You think you forgot about it, then moved on to like Syndicate or something. Ah, I gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. Especially with the DLC, you know. No worries, Fua. Hope you have a good luck, and hope everything goes well. And yeah, thanks for being here. Serve, take me, sugar. Anything you like. I also had to think of it when we talked about the rates on sugar and coffee plantations. Overseers. Plantation owners in the colonies were generally wealthy, white Europeans. Ruling in absentia most of the time, they delegated their authority to overseers who controlled the day-to-day production of a plantation. The overseers were the people in charge of running the plantation's day-to-day activities, administering discipline and often acting in place of the true owners. Slavery in Saint-Domingue. Hispaniola was the first home to Taino tribes, who suffered abuse, disease, and slavery after their first contact with the first Spanish, ultimately reducing their population to an estimated 500 people by 1548. With native populations waning, colonies looked for other sources of manual labor to help supply Europe's growing demands for goods. They turned to Africa. In French-controlled Saint-Domingue, conditions were punishing and birth rates for slaves were lower than death rates. Rather than improve conditions, the colony simply increased the rate at which it deported slaves. By the 18th century, Saint-Domingue had become home of the largest slave society, with the most brutal conditions in the world. Yeah, so similar to the main game, I'm gonna read all the people database entries, anything of story relevance in the database. And yeah, have a look at that. However, if something already has been said or written in the main game database, then I'm not gonna reread it.
You deserve nothing less.
Without your help, we cannot invite seafaring merchants into our lovely city.
God. You would do the same if you could.
Fine bunch here.
Hear that? Perfect physical condition.
Are the finest outside traffic. Mark my word. Zach's eyes only. I'm on my way there now to present you.
Enjoy yourself, sir. And fear not, you'll meet no competition from me. I have.
Man, I love playing as Adivali, I have to say. But it's often so much as a character. I also love his kind of like kit, you know, with a machete and then the blunderbuss later. Just wanna, you know, wreak some havoc against the Templars of those kind of weapons. Quite nice, so now we can enter the brothel. But before we do that, I wanna free some more slaves here.
Praise be to God you came along.
You've endured enough.
God sent you, Trinity. I will never doubt my faith again.
You too must help your brothers and sisters.
Alright, let's get our first viewpoint here. It's actually something I totally forgotten before we started the DLC, and that is I wanted to also have a look at the trailer that they actually released for the DLC. So I think we're actually gonna do that now, after the synchronization. Have a look at the live action trailer they actually made, because it's really good. Okay, let me go ahead and set that up real quick. Alright, there we go. There's actually two trailers. There's the standalone trailer and then the launch trailer. Let's have a look at the standalone live action trailer first.
I was born into slavery, deprived of any right, of any faith. I was sold, traded for labor, forced to watch the suffering, treated like a beast of burden. With no future ahead of me, I forged my own. And I knew blood would be the price. I never looked back, never wanted to, never had to, until now.
Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, the epic add-on adventure from Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Available February 18th as a standalone game exclusively for download on PlayStation. Also coming February 25th to PC.
It's a funny hearing these announcements, you know, so many years after they came out. But yeah, guys, you know, February, mark it in the calendar. Freedom Cry is coming. But yeah, it's such a powerful trailer. I'm usually not the biggest fan of the live action trailers. I usually prefer the CGI ones. I really enjoy this one for Freedom Cry. And I think Adivali's backstory is just so interesting, you know, like, he was like born into slavery and he didn't know any other life. But he managed to break free, actually with the help of pirates. That's not shown in the trailer here, but it's set in the Black Flag main game. And that's why he kind of like also joins with the pirates eventually. But yeah, I think it's just really interesting, him escaping slavery, and now, you know, we're here in Freedom Cry, trying to free other slaves. So we also have a launch trailer, which I didn't look at earlier, but I want to have a look at now. I think this is with only gameplay scenes, so let's have a look.
Peggy 18.
You know, Edward, I've witnessed my kin suffer for so long. It is easy to forget the concept of freedom. I will remind you.
A warrior like you would be a great asset to our cause.
What do you need?
Recruits, liberated slaves. The warriors among them join me. The others grow the community for which we fight. Best begin soon. There's much to do.
The sooner Augustine's revolution comes, the sooner all slaves will live in peace as free people.
Gouverneur de Fayette threatens retaliation.
The governor cannot continue like this. His death must bring this generation of warriors hope. They must not abandon the goal of independence.
Choose your moment. Do not get caught. You help the ones you freed, but at what cost to the ones you can't?
A small price for independence. I will show them how to fight. To bring hope back in their hearts. They will rise up. And for years to come, the world will remember the cry for freedom.
Oh yeah. Pretty epic trailer actually. I liked it. Nice. Alright, cool. So those are the two trailers I wanted to showcase for the DLC. And yeah, now we can head back into the game. I kind of want to do that before we started the DLC, but forgot about it. Yeah, Momik. I don't know, I guess it's just very fitting for Edward because, for Adivali, because he has to deal with some, you know, assholes. So most brutal weapons are just what they deserve. For these slavers here. I would sure use the same if I was in this place.
Confirms that slaves were apprehended, engaging in trade.
The heck? Why couldn't I free these guys anymore? Must be bugged or something. But yeah, let's go into a brothel.
me a traitor.
Slaves will be safer for it.
Monsieur Gouverneur, if they felt safe at the plantation, do you think they would rebel?
Of course. Violence is the only currency that motivates them. Like coin to you. If you really want to protect your African friends, spread the word. Quiet them down. Otherwise...
You need not describe. I know what you do.
I could not raise a hand to hurt a fly. But the overseers have every right to discipline as they see fit.
Will not be necessary. I will deliver your message. The cost will be high.
We will both profit by.
Is there any other service you require, Gouverneur?
Oh, an old man like me. I dare say Guzan has exhausted me already.
Then show yourself out.
Pierre Marquis de Fayette, governor, was born to a family which, though respected, had few land claims. He distinguished himself by virtue of his leadership throughout a productive naval career, which saw him rewarded with an appointment as governor of Saint-Domingue in 1732. Leaving a wife and children in France, he journeyed to the colony, hoping to use a brief stint as governor to earn enough respect, power, and wealth to soon return to France and retire in grace and style. Not much is known of his private life during this time, but he did frequent La Dame.
Take my sugar! Take anything you like!
La Dame and Rose, and had more than a passing acquaintance with brother Madame and information broker Bastien Joseph. During de Fayette's tenure as governor, the slave population of Saint-Domingue would swell to 2,000, outnumbering Europeans by a factor of 3 to 1, allowing for both greater production of cash crops and increased political instability. Saint-Domingue under his leadership was both profitable and brutal. The Côte Noire was originally established in May 1685 by King Louis XIV of France and enacted in March 1687. It was a set of rules governing the rights and policing of slaves and remained in effect until 1789, also the start of the French Revolution. Articles of the Côte Noire made Catholicism mandatory in French colonies, provided guidelines for slave punishments, and also included a number of articles designed to limit the mistreatment of slaves. Masters were obligated to provide shelter, food, and clothing for their slaves, and were not allowed to torture or mutilate their workers, only beat them. Slave families were not to be sold separately. Care was to be given to the sick and dying. It was also stated that masters should only punish repeat offenders. But the Côte Noire was never fully enforced, making way for all sorts of abuse. Most slave owners only adhered to the articles that benefited them. Some masters even became known for their cruelty and inventive methods of torture, but many violations were waived and overlooked. This was especially the case in Saint-Domingue, where the pressure to remain the world leader in sugar and coffee production was felt most strongly by the slaves, who provided all of the necessary labor. They probably thought they were like very humanitarian, right? Like allowing them to only beat their slaves, not torture them. Jesus.
Madame Joseph. Expecting a package.
It. But not you. Where's l'Admiral? I see. And do you mean for me to meet the same fate? Look around. One threat, and these men will end you.
I bring no threat. Tell me, how do the Templars allow you to carry on like this?
I am only the messenger. But before you judge, remember, the Templars' coin, like any, will buy the freedom of men like you. I know this mark.
You know nothing.
You have the brand of a slave. The eloquence of a scholar. Hands of a sailor. And an assassin's hood. Few weapons. I think the storm stranded you. What do you need? A ship? Shelter? These things can be had for the price of this parcel.
I need nothing I can't win for myself. But prove that what you promise is true. And perhaps something can be arranged.
Is this your game? Very well. Then you will do me a favor. Augustin Dufort is a very secretive man. First find his plantation contact and give him this message from the gouverneur. Augustin will give you all the proof you need. Repeat this password. Sili patoto kabla va manger.
Sili pas dodo, crabla va manger.
Pas mal. A convincing baritone. Now I suggest you leave before my admirers get suspicious.
It's kind of funny when Adivale sings this, you know, he's like very, almost like a bit shy when he sings, you know, because you also don't really hear Adivale sing before. But when he actually has to sing it as like the passcode, you know, he's like really letting loose and sings it in a much more confident kind of like tone. I think it's like an interesting detail because he is kind of like a bit drawn towards Bastien. I mean, at this point, not that much yet, but they would definitely grow closer by the end of this DLC.
Finest lot I've seen in a long time.
Slaves this good are hard to come by. Quick, step up to me.
Listen, Musume!
My prayers have been answered. Thank you.
It's not over yet.
Off at Mashidi.
Make your ancestors proud.
I have something new.
Ah, nice. We could get some darts here.
Thanks. Return anytime.
One thing I love also about this DLC is the soundtrack and how they recorded a lot of these songs in Creole language. I thought it was a really cool touch.
I know this tune. Si ou pas dodo, crabe la va manger.
The wise man is down that path.
Thank you, sister.
There we go. First gonna take care of this plantation here. I still love the outfit for Adivali, I have to say. Kinda wish you could wear this as Edward as well, as kind of like a legacy outfit or something.
Tu vas tous nous faire tuer.
N'importe que des sauces pas
Arrête-toi. Hey.
Fuck me. Adivali. Don't do that to me.
Run and find a place to hide.
There we go. That's 62 liberated slaves. And they have the reward tab. So every couple, like every time you have like 3 slaves, you unlock potential rewards. I would like to get the special reward at the end, but it's not a requirement for my playthrough. If we do it, that's fine. But if we don't, that's fine too. Push an overseer into water and perform an air assassination from a height of 10 versus something. Okay. That takes care of that. You just added randomized rules for the community for both good and bad results for your Sims playthrough. Yikes. So, what would be good and bad results then, in that case? Oh, that counts as pushing them into water. Okay then. I take it. What, wait, they see me? Fuck that. Okay. Let's fight.
Destroy the nest!
Which result would be happiness sheet for that person, cash or family. Add something on the wall, potential death or injury cost to a family. Droughts or plants would be made dry and many more. Ah, okay. That's kinda cool. That like your community participate in what kind of like happens to the game world in a way. But I hope there's not too many bad things happening.
Reviens ici!
The community is evil, so should be good. That's the spirit. But yeah, if it's only every 45 minutes, then I guess you can still deal with it. Rather than all the bad events kind of like accumulating together.
Do not let them escape. The river. Hurry before they bring more enemies.
What's that? Don't hold it to miss one? Go faster! Faster, idiot! This is as fast as I can go! Shoot him! Shoot him!
Oh ja, det var det. I showem.
Augustin, Dieu fort.
Blanc dit sans fait. Bon Dieu fait sans dit. The French governor is two-faced. Bastien helps as she can, but Maroon independence is long to build. Longer now. A warrior like you would be a great asset to our cause.
With due respect, I serve a different brotherhood and am honor-bound to return as soon as I find the means.
But only the Iowa know when that will be. Meantime, I have sanctuary and weapons to share.
Perhaps our needs may align for a time. What do you need?
Recruits, liberated slaves. The warriors among them join me. The others grow the community for which we fight. Petit à petit, oiseau fait son nid.
I suppose I might lend a hand for a time.
Petit paché. I will see that you are rewarded for whatever you can give. Best begin soon. There's much to do.
With many unknowns on the horizon. This music has such a great spirit in it. I agree, dude. Yeah. The soundtrack for the DLC in general is just really nice. I enjoyed it a lot. Love for blunderbuss. Oh yeah. Gonna use that a lot.
My thanks. Return anytime.
There's also more we can get, isn't there? Yeah, we can get the rope that pouch 1. And the smoke bomb pouch 2. Get some more steep darts. Some rope darts too. And smoke bombs.
You are wise. My thanks and good luck.
Thank you. Let's also have a look at the database here. Got Augustin Dufort. He was born into slavery in 1701, sold away from his mother, and passed from plantation to plantation as owners leapt at the chance to buy him cheaply, only to find him too thin and frail to be of much use. Changing hands so often gave Dufort an advantage. He learned the layouts, routines, and habits of plantations and the overseers across Saint-Domingue. He used this knowledge to plan a careful escape and thus became one of the few child slaves to survive to adulthood. A deeply faithful man, Dufort was baptized Catholic in accordance with the roots of the Code Noir, but drew his spirituality from voodoo and his strength from his unwavering drive for African independence in Saint-Domingue. In 1735, he was introduced to Adivale following a raid on his headquarters, and the two formed a loose partnership, exchanging strengths and ideas over the years that followed. Bastien Joseph. An intelligent, outwardly outgoing woman, Bastien Joseph had many acquaintances and few friends. Born free and raised by a mother, a prostitute at La Dame in Rose, Bastien Joseph made her first friends by sending glimpses of illicit acts to local children, but was shunned and labeled as morally corrupt as a young teenager. Choosing to avoid prostitution herself, Bastien learned to read, write, and manage financial affairs. In time, she became the brother Madame's indispensable right-hand woman. In this capacity, she bore witness to all the secret deal-making, political manipulation, and scandal among the brother's patrons, and learned the true power of a Madame of La Dame and Rose. Engaged once, she ultimately avoided the altar, realizing it would deprive her of the freedom she had carefully cultivated for herself. She instead inherited the brother following her mentor's death, and took private pleasure in seeing the bullies and hypocrites of her childhood become her paying patrons once more. In the successful business the previous Madame had built, Joseph saw potential for something more. Doubling her business, she then used her bravo to undertake two types of action on behalf of Maroons and enslaved Africans in Port-au-Prince. She used the proceeds to buy the freedom of slaves, and used the confidential veil of her brother itself in tandem with her control over the woman who worked there to solicit political favors from powerful clients, including Governor de Fayette and the scientist Louis Gaudin. In 1735, she met Adivale for the first time, and the two became uneasy partners in helping Augustin de Foix and the Maroon cause. It does seem that a friendship developed between them, but it is unclear to what extent. Plantation life. Life on the Saint-Domingue plantation was harsh. Slaves were tortured, violated, starved, made to live in shacks, and exhausted of all their energy. Everywhere on all plantations, domestic slaves catered to every need of their masters and overseers, and worked when they were told, despite what the Code Noir dictated. The lash, both its image and sound, was perhaps the most common memory of plantation life. Lashing was a very common form of punishment, used to force and threaten slaves into doing work. They were also cajoled with food, clothing, and rest as incentives, and were sometimes given the freedom to raise their own livestock and crops. That being said, the conditions on the sugar plantations were brutal. During the 8-month sugar harvest, slaves were expected to work long hours until all the work was done, including on Sundays, which the Code Noir specifically set aside as a day of rest. Slaves collapsed from exhaustion regularly, and sometimes got into horrible accidents with the primitive machinery used on the plantations. Slaves were considered to be pieces of property and were generally labeled as unskilled, though many slaves were skilled masons, metalworkers, coopers, cooks, seamstresses, and nurses. Personal violations were also used as a method of control. Slaves were often relocated to other plantations without warning and were separated from friends, family members, and children. Many slaves were also raped. None of this stopped the enslaved people from starting families and having social lives on the plantation. Friends and family units were created in the barracks, and children were reared and taught the dangers and risk of the harsh life they were brought into. These barracks were the focal point for developing slave communities. Religion also played a major part. Faith offered the slaves a form of escapism from their harsh lives and masters. Sometimes religious scripture was used as a code among its followers, sparking more hope and sometimes rebellion. As dark as these times were, there was still a spark of hope among the people. hell yeah. Let's sit on the bus. Yeah. You can just kill like 4 people at the same time. Okay, so the next mission is actually locked behind recruiting more Maroons here. Currently we have 4 out of 20, so gotta get more here.
You'll never get away. Halt!
Ramenez-moi cet esclave. D'abord approche. Sorry. I'm sorry, that little beast. Ne me fais pas perdre mon temps, hein. De toute manière, on l'aura.
The stolen sugar cane was located. Confiscated.
Healthy lots, not a scratch on them.
Plantation is found in the owner. Ah, okay, there's like more plantations across other prints here. Let's go up here to that one.
We only sell the best. These slaves are the best of the bunch.
I can just buy them, right? But nah, these guys gonna die.
You have been sent from God. You're welcome.
Arrête-toi. Un stock est unique et ne sera plus jamais disponible.
Arrête-toi. Oui, toi.
C'est à toi qu'il a fait. I can't go alone.
Come over here. Oh. Don't go up here, Alibali.
We are glad to call you. Thank you. You know there is still much work to be done. You deserve to have a choice.
J'imagine que je vais encore devoir...
Je sais qui tu es. J'espère que
Tu as beaucoup de compte. Tu es tout.
Ah, bienvenue.
Right, 5 more overseers to kill. Then we have a separation freed as well. I wonder if I could use this windmill here. Up there? Okay, that didn't work.
Yeah, let me so.
Yeah, he didn't see that. Just as much as this guy didn't see me killing the guy out of a haystack.
Run and find a place to hide.
Right, that brings us to 20 recruited Maroons. And that's what we needed also to start the next main quest, I believe. Very nice. Never plantation liberated. Alright, cool. So guys, I think this is where we will continue next time with Freedom Cry. But yeah, we made a good start on it. Can't wait to play more actually.
God has must listen. We can only put a stop to this by helping each other.
But yeah, it's been good to make a start on it already. It's also quite a short DLC overall, so we're already a third through the DLC. Which means next time we definitely will be finishing the DLC. And who knows, maybe even make a start on AC Rogue. Making our own luck, as always. But yeah, it's gonna be in very, very interesting order once you get to Rogue, because I think we play for Sequence 1 and the first memory of Sequence 2. Then we switch over to AC3 and play the first couple sequences, and then back to Rogue again. So it's gonna be very...
I'll make my own luck.
Gonna be very interesting, you know, finally starting the order of events in the Kenway Saga and jumping back and forth between the games. But yeah, let's go ahead and quit here. How long is the DLC? I would say total between 3 to 5 hours. About 5 to 6, I would say, for 100% doing literally everything. I think it's gonna take us about 4 to 5 hours, maybe. But yeah, already 35% through, and I only played for like a good hour or so. But yeah, we also haven't played much of the side stuff yet, so that still has to be unlocked as well. But yeah, guys, I want to thank you all so much for coming by and for joining another Black Flag and Freedom Cry stream. No worries at all, Rod. Thank you so much for being here as well, dude. I really appreciate it. Thanks also again for raiding earlier too. Interesting how the years line up. You don't particularly feel like that's how it really was, but you're curious to see this playthrough. How do you mean, Fua? That you don't feel like that's how it really was? But yeah, I've actually done like a lot of research on the missions. Went for like the game myself and started missions to kind of like see how the dates or when the dates were during which sequence. So yeah, it's definitely the order of events according at least to the history. Of course, it's like a bit tricky, you know, take into consideration if the developers also did like a good job of making both years transition well. But yeah, that's what we wanted to find out really. Kind of like see how it flows between Rogue, Free and Liberation. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it though. It's gonna be a good time, I think. But yeah, for now we're gonna have a look who's online, so we can raid out. Let's see. I think I still can't raid I'm the best because he has disabled raids, I believe. But just in case he hasn't, let's see if it works. Yeah, still has raids disabled, so we can't raid on the bastard. 1776, when Shay was in Paris and killed Arno's father, Charles commented that Old Connor has dismantled the Templars in America. When one Connor's like 20 and two Haven Charts see it, most of the Templars were still around. Yeah, but that's the thing you have to blame the writers of Rogue for, right? Because the whole ending sequence in Rogue just doesn't make any sense at all. And it's not really an issue that the years of the other games have, but I think that Rogue sets, you know. The fact that Shay also says maybe we should start a revolution on our own is just bullshit, because you never see him in France or in Unity. Nor is he evolved even remotely in the start of the French Revolution at all. So to me, the whole ending part just really was like a forced kind of like scenario, right? And the fact they talk about Old Connor like that just shows how little they were aware of the historical context when they wrote the story. But that's just Rogue, dude. Like, Rogue is really bad in that regard. Just making itself work within the other games. You just gotta look at certain characters and the way they have been written, you know? Like, if you look at Achilles, he's hardly the same character that you see in 3. And I think they didn't do a good job at that at all. But Shay never existed in the franchise by the time Unity's story had been fully written and locked in. That's another thing, right? Which also I think is really tricky about the ending with Rogue. Like, they set everything up in a way that makes Shay the killer of Arno's father, yet he never appears in Unity, and you never go after him either, you know? They just really tried to make a forced connection that wasn't necessary, you know? Like, people loved it at first, and so did I, because I thought, you know, how cool is that? Like, you're in Paris now, the same time as Unity, and you know, you have this connection. But if you actually start to think about the connection, it just doesn't make any sense, you know? You love Rogue, but you really wish timelines lined up better. Connor was born in 1756, so he would have been 20. Chadsey died in 1782, when Connor would have been 26. Yeah. Yeah, that's the issue, right? Like, they talk about like it's past tense. They talk about like it's past tense, but then, you know, it's still like an ongoing story. And the only reason they talk about it like it's past tense is because AC3 has been released before Rogue. Dear. But yeah, let's not get started on Rogue though. We have enough to rant about once we get to it. For now, we're gonna go and find ourselves a raiding target, so... Let's say a hi to... Who do we say hi to? Let's say hi to Gislek. I haven't rated him in a few. He's not having too many viewers right now. He's currently playing some Horizon Forbidden West. That's the new one on the PlayStation 4. If they clean up the dialogue and remove the silly tropes, Rogue could have been a masterpiece. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, I think Rogue had really a lot of potential, and there's definitely things I really enjoy about Rogue as well. Namely, the North Atlantic, for example, as an area. Also love the soundtrack and the gameplay. You know, it's like Black Flag just enhanced at some points. So that's also great, you know, like Black Flag's gameplay is fantastic. But yeah, there's just a lot of issues I feel with the story, which for me make it like one of my least favorite AC games, but I think it's definitely an alright game in and of itself. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to play it though. There's lots of fun to be had in Rogue regardless. Thank you so much, guys. You have a good day and night as well. I will definitely catch you soon. We're going back tomorrow with co-op Saturday with Levi, playing some more Guitar Hero and a new game. So I will catch you guys then. Until now, we're gonna go and raid Gislek. So I see you guys over there. Take care and stay safe.